Hi, what's going on, y'all? OJ back here with another video. Today, we're going to be ranking the most likely matchups to happen at welterweight following the result of JDM versus Islam Makhachev. I'm going to be ranking all of the possible title fights that we can have at welterweight. Some of them I'll be very excited for, some of them not so much, but I'm going to explain all of them regardless. So without wasting any more time, let's jump right into the video. Okay, now starting off with obviously the worst matchup we can get, Islam Makhachev versus Kamaru Usman. Okay, let's say Makhachev beats JDM, and then the first thing that happens is I want to fight Kamaru Usman. Why? All right, I get that he's like a former welterweight champion with multiple defenses, but can I be real? I think the fact that Kamaru Usman, right, his only win that's relevant right now is Joaquin Buckley. Like, I know that's a great win. And I didn't even pick Usman to beat Buckley in the first place, so fair enough. But in what world does a win over Joaquin Buckley get you a title shot? It really shouldn't. But the only reason I can even think that this could happen is because both of their managers are Ali Abdelaziz, that snitch terrorist rock. Right? I do not want this to happen. This is the equivalent of John Jones fighting Stipe Miocic when Tom Aspinall was there. Right? Only in this case, we got multiple contenders. Like maybe Sean Brady, maybe Michael Morales, maybe Carlos Prates, maybe Ian Gary. Like there are a lot of contenders at welterweight I want to see fight over Kamaru Usman, but I could so see Islam Makhachev and Kamaru Usman because Ali Abdelaziz is their manager and Ali Abdelaziz is a rat. All right, now moving on, we got Islam Makhachev versus Ian Gary. This is obviously the worst matchup out of all of the welterweight prospects that we have. I'm sorry, not prospects, but like top contenders, because this basically validates what Ian Gary says.
Me and Islam show the new evolution of MMA fighters. You can't be good in one area. You have to be great in every area.
Okay, like we're talking about the evolution of MMA. Okay, I get why Islam Makhachev's name is brought up. Why is your name even in the mix, Ian Gary? Oh, and by the way, you have 0 submissions in the UFC. So if you want to argue that you got to be great everywhere, you're not great everywhere. Let's just put it how it is. This is the other thing too. Ian Gary would actually try to be humble in this potential buildup because he'll just go on and be like, "Oh, it'd be an honor to share the ring with the pound for pound best fighter on the planet. I'm just here to prove myself as the best fighter on the planet right now." Blah blah blah. I have nothing but respect for Islam Makhachev and his team. Like, bro, we need you to be brash. All right. I call him boring. I call him a cuck, but let's be honest, like I would want to see him actually trash talk. Right? That's how he actually creates hype. It definitely isn't because of his performances. And even then, I would still pick Islam Makhachev to ragdoll Ian Gary if he potentially gets through Bilal, which is a tough task. But if he can do that, I still don't want to see him fight Islam Makhachev. All right, now moving on, we got Islam Makhachev versus Carlos Prates. All right, now the only reason I say this fight could be dead is because I don't have any confidence in Prates' abilities to scramble. I'm gonna most likely predict that Makhachev will submit Carlos Prates in the first round, and honestly, I'm not trying to see that. All right, Prates could fluke a knockout, but if Carlos Prates gets the next title shot and Islam Makhachev is the current belt holder, then it's gonna be a tough sell. But it wouldn't be bad. But I think this is a bad stylistic matchup for Carlos Prates, so I don't want to see it that much. All right, now up next we got Jack Della Maddalena versus Ian Gary. Right now, I'm actually somewhat excited for this fight because Ian Gary would actually try to talk trash with JDM, unlike Islam Makhachev, because Ian Gary has beef with JDM, especially with all their interactions during UFC 315. when Ian Gary flew in as the backup fighter and he started to just put a bunch of M&Ms near JDM for some reason. I don't know why, but that's what Ian Gary does while JDM's trying to cut weight. Now, JDM and Ian Gary have beef, so I do think the press conference could be fun. But at the same time, though, this fight could be so boring to watch, right? Ian Gary is known for having boring fights. He made Carlos Prates look boring. Fair enough, it was a good game plan of just occupying Carlos Prates' left hand. But at the same time, though, that wasn't exactly a fun fight to watch. He made Shavkat Rakhmonov boring. Like, I don't know how you do that, right? I literally don't know how you could possibly make Shavkat Rakhmonov look boring as hell. But Ian Gary somehow managed to do that. And based on those two fights, I could totally see JDM versus Ian Gary being a little bit of a point fest, especially because JDM isn't exactly the best finisher. JDM's more of a volume finisher, and Ian Gary, I don't think he's ever going to finish a ranked contender other than Daniel Rodriguez. So this fight is going to be incredibly boring to watch, but I'd still be excited for it somewhat because of the trash talk. All right, now moving on, we got JDM versus Carlos Prates. I'll be sad for whoever loses this fight. I love both of these guys, but this is going to be a sick striking matchup. You want to see other matchups though. All right. He Carlos Prates did lose to Ian Gary. And yes, I understand that Ian Gary is very good and that Ian Gary could also be the guy to potentially get the next title shot, but like I don't know. I feel like there are other contenders like Sean Brady. Like even if Sean Brady has a boring performance and Carlos Prates gets like a finish, I would slightly prefer Sean Brady. Alright, I would be pretty interested to see the scrambles. I don't know, it's pretty close though, alright? I the fights above this one, like, I don't have a huge preference over this one, but just because of how recent Carlos Prates lost, I would prefer other matchups, but still, this is a six striking matchup, and also I'd be sad for whoever loses this fight. All right, now moving on, we got Islam Makhachev versus Ilya Taporia. All right, this is a super fight. I get it. It's fun. But at the same time, though, defend your belt once, Ilya Taporia. Like, it was cool when Taporia moved up from 145 to 155 because nobody at 145 was convincing. He did beat Alexander Volkanovski and Max Holloway back to back, who are like the two greatest featherweights prior to Ilya Taporia going there. And also, he knocked out Charles Oliveira in the first round. And there was also like this interesting perspective of how Makhachev would deal with Taporia. But at 170, right, where Makhachev just moved up to the weight class, he defended his belt multiple times. There are legit contenders at welterweight looking for a title shot right now. Islam Makhachev versus Ilya Taporia, I don't prefer it. It's gonna create a logjam. 170. That's the last thing I want, especially because Taporia hasn't defended the lightweight belt yet. And none of the contenders are looking to fight in a title elimination bout. Right? I want to see some activity in the lightweight division as well. And in order for there to be activity in the lightweight division, I would much prefer Ilya Taporia to just fight someone at lightweight. Maybe an Armin Sarukian, maybe a Justin Gaethje, maybe a Paddy Pimblett. I don't care. Just defend the belt against somebody. All right, now up next, we got Islam Makhachev versus Michael Morales. Weirdly, I can see this fight being difficult for Islam Makhachev. And that's the intrigue of this, all right? But this kind of depends on how Morales looks in his fight with Sean Brady. Like, if Morales stuffs all of Brady's takedowns and then beats him up really badly, then I could see Morales versus Islam Makhachev being the fight to make. I would say Islam would probably win, but this is a very compelling matchup, and I think Morales could give Islam Makhachev a run for his money just because of the size discrepancy, as well as the fact that Michael Morales does practice judo. All right, he's got a judo base. He hasn't shown it in a while, but he has been able to use it a lot during the early parts of his fight, and he's very feisty. All right, especially when you hit him and like he gets into the later rounds, he suddenly switches on and then tries to knock you out. Like that's what Michael Morales does. And I'd be low key scared for Islam Makhachev, but I would still say that Islam Makhachev wins, but I'd still be interested nonetheless. All right, now up next we got Jack Della Maddalena versus Michael Morales. Now, not gonna lie, I would be scared for JDM in this situation. All right, this is gonna be a six striking matchup. Don't get me wrong, and I understand that JDM is very experienced at boxing, but Michael Morales is a really big welterweight, and he's got very good understanding of his reach. I know JDM beat Randy Brown back in the day, but I think Michael Morales is way better than Randy Brown at understanding his range, taking his power shots, and just being aggressive. Michael Morales is legit. All right. Even if he loses to Sean Brady, I wouldn't mind seeing this matchup if Morales somehow comes back with a 3 fight win streak. All right. I would love to see this matchup someday, but I would be scared for JDM, which is why I'm not going to put this on number one, but I do think that this would be a sick matchup regardless. All right, at number two, though, we got Jack Della Maddalena versus Sean Brady. This is straight up the best striking offense versus the best grappling offense welterweight has to offer. Now, you could argue that Islam Makhachev is there. All right, fair enough. But let's say JDM beats Makhachev. All right, then we got the next best option in Sean Brady. And I think Sean Brady can test JDM in the grappling. All right. Sean Brady beat Craig Jones in a grappling match. That's super impressive. All right. They got some history together. And if you guys don't know who Craig Jones is, that's basically Jack Della Maddalena's grappling coach. Like, I would favor JDM slightly if he beats Islam Makhachev, but not by much. Especially if Brady just ragdolls Morales and proves that like there's no like he's undeniable. I would really want to see this fight soon, but it's not guaranteed. I would still love to see it though. All right, but hopefully it happens if both of these guys win. Okay, but at number one, we got Islam Makhachev versus Sean Brady. And simply because the scrambles will be so sick to watch. Like, I think this is one of the high level fights that you would be more excited for the grappling than for the striking. And straight up, this is one of the best grappler versus grappler fights you can ever make. And honestly, I think this is the perfect White House main event. Right? I know Sean Brady doesn't have the name, but he is American. He is probably going to be the undeniable number one contender at welterweight. And if Islam Makhachev beats Sean Brady, right? Like I already make the argument that he would be the GOAT if he beats JDM, but he beats Sean Brady. There is undeniable proof that Islam Makhachev becomes the GOAT. To be honest, I think this is a win-win situation. So hopefully if Islam Makhachev beats JDM, we get to see Islam Makhachev versus Sean Brady at the White House. All right, that's going to be it for this video. If you guys want to see more videos like this, please make sure to like and subscribe so we can get this channel monetized. Otherwise, though, I got nothing else to say. I'm just excited for UFC 322. So, yeah, other than that, I will see you guys tomorrow. Peace.